Forbidden taste. Okay. Gosh, where do I even start? You know, I never thought I'd be writing something like this down, ever. But here I am, typing away on my little typewriter late at night. The only sound is the keys clicking and my heart pounding just remembering it all. I need to get this out, like a secret I've been holding too tight inside. I won't use real names, obviously. Let's call me Leah. And him Mr. Kent. Sounds fitting, somehow. Strong. I grew up in this tiny place in Utah, you wouldn't know it, a Mormon village way off the map. Everything was strict, pure thoughts, covered up bodies, preparing girls for one thing only, becoming another wife to some older man already burdened with wives. My father, he betrothed me at 16 to this man who already had 6 wives. 6. The thought made my skin crawl. I mean, I'd barely spoken to a boy my own age properly, let alone that. 2 years later, on the eve of the wedding, my brother Samuel, bless his brave heart, helped me slip away in the dead of night with nothing but a small bag. I ended up in a big city, scared stiff, utterly lost. This kind waitress, Jackie, she found me crying near the dumpster behind this fancy restaurant. She took pity on me, got me a job washing dishes. Jackie was a beautiful woman, maybe 25, with curves that would kill. She said she was married, but oh boy, she had eyes only for the owner. Mr. Kent. He owned like 10 restaurants in town, drove this gleaming silver Cadillac that seemed to purr. He was only 30, but he seemed older, tougher. Jackie told me he'd been a cook in the Marines during the big war. He carried himself like it too, tall, wide shoulders, and devilishly handsome, and with a way of looking at you that felt like he saw right through your clothes. Jackie, she flirted shamelessly, lifting her skirt just a fraction too high when bending near him, laughing too loud, dancing little steps behind the counter if a good song came on the radio. She'd let his hand linger on her waist. She told me it was just harmless fun, a way to get better shifts. But seeing it, it stirred something strange in me, a flutter low in my belly I didn't recognize. I'd never seen a woman act like that towards a man. It was exciting. A little scary. Mr. Kent was different. Not like the boys back home, all awkward and shy. He was solid. Commanding. He noticed me one day, really noticed me, beyond the dishes. He needed extra staff for a big wedding he was catering. My little cotton dress, pale yellow with tiny white flowers, felt suddenly very thin under his gaze as he offered me a ride. It was just us in that big car. He was lecturing me about how to behave, serve properly, don't gawk. But his hand, it just rested on my knee. Then his fingers started stroking, slow circles right through the fabric. My skin prickled everywhere. I couldn't breathe. I just stared straight ahead, my cheeks burning. He didn't say a word about it, just kept talking about champagne flutes and caviar like his hand wasn't doing that incredible, forbidden thing on my leg. The wedding was a revelation. People laughing loud, dancing close, drinking so much. I saw men pull bridesmaids into corners, hands roaming under flouncy skirts, kisses that looked hungry, desperate. The air felt thick with something I didn't have a name for, but it made my whole body feel warm and restless. Jackie shoved a glass of champagne into my hand. Try it, rookie, the bubbles fizzed on my tongue, sweet and sharp. I drank it fast, then another and then another. Everything got softer, brighter. I felt giggly, brave. I caught Mr. Kent watching me across the room, a small smile playing on his lips. For some reason my mind went to what I was wearing under my dress, my simple white underwear, cotton panties, and a plain bra. I questioned if Mr. Kent would like how they looked on my body. I didn't understand at the time why this thought shot into my head, but now I know. My heart and mind were sending me signals that my mind wasn't ready for yet. After, driving back, the champagne still buzzing in my head, the images of the wedding swirling, he did it again. His hand slid back onto my thigh, higher this time. I didn't pull away. I couldn't. The sensation was too intense. He drove me home like that, slowly stroking my thigh under the hem of my skirt, sometimes slipping even higher than that. I was drunk, but very aware where his hands were going. In front of my building he stopped the car and looked at me. Told me I did a good job and that he was giving me a raise and a promotion. Full wait staff at the main restaurant. Before I knew what I was doing, squealed, "Thank you, Mr. Kent," and gave him a big hug around his neck. He was so much taller than me that I had to get on my knees on the seat to do it, but my stupor made me fall into his lap like an idiot. His arms wrapped around me, now eyes looking up into his. His face close to mine. I was in shock and didn't know what to do. He tipped his head and kissed me on the forehead and said, "You precious thing." The words rang in my ear and it made me smile like an exploding star. My heart was swooning. He continued to hold me, his hands cupping my buttocks, his strong arms squeezing me slightly. His hands then moved towards my thighs, again riding under the hem and up my thigh. Now his hands stroking my white cotton panties. My juices started flowing and the touch of his large hands made me think those thoughts again, me standing in front of him in my undergarments, him inspecting me. My mind was racing, with fantasies of his lips on mine. Then he said, "Good night," and pushed me to my side of the front seat and looked forward. I was startled at the contrast, the abruptness. Of course I was disappointed that the moment was over, but I hopped out and went to my room. That night I couldn't stop thinking about his touch, his hands, caressing my panties, his strong arms cocooning me. I felt a warmness down there that I had never felt before and I began to touch and explore myself in a way I never had before. I didn't see Mr. Kent for a while, wondering if he thought about me. Then it was a week since the incident in the car, maybe a week later, just after the lunchtime rush, 3 men from my old village grabbed me in the alley behind the restaurant. Rough hands, smelling of dust and sweat, covered my mouth. They dragged me, kicking uselessly, into a beat-up truck. They took me to this awful, smelly motel room. Tied my hands and ankles to the bedposts with rough rope. They said I was going back, that I belonged to the elder. I was sobbing, pure terror freezing my blood. They pulled out a Bible and started to read verses to me about the sin of carnal thoughts, and then suddenly there was a big bang. The door exploded inward. Mr. Kent stood there, silhouetted against the hallway light, looking like an avenging angel. He moved so fast. Punches landed like hammers. I saw the blood splatter on the wall. One man pulled a gun. Shots rang out, deafening in the small room. Mr. Kent wrestled the gun away. Another shot, this time Mr. Kent and one of the men went down. The other 2 scrambled out, terrified. He quickly pulled out a knife and cut me free, scooped me up like I weighed nothing. I could see blood on his forearm, and I wondered if he was hurt. "Let's go," he said, his voice rough. We ran. The danger, it was terrifying, but mixed with it was this wild, dizzying exhilaration. We sped down the freeway in his Cadillac. Then more slowly, we were clear. He saved me. He fought for me. He took me to his house in the outskirts of town, big and on a lake. It was quiet. He told me he was a widower and his wife picked this spot to build a house on. He made me hot tea. I was shaking so badly. He sat beside me on the plush couch, pulled me against his solid chest. His arms wrapped around me, strong and safe. When I calmed down he showed me a guest bedroom and told me to take a bath and get some sleep. He kissed my cheek and closed the door. I took a bath, cleaned up and then slept like a stone. When I woke up it was nighttime but I had no idea what time. I put on my clothes and then explored outside the hallway, then down to the large living room. Mr. Kent was there on the telephone. I watched him from behind as he talked about men coming to the house. "Bring your gats," he said. I didn't make sound but he immediately turned around and said, "Leah, what are you doing up?" I crossed my legs and put my hands behind my back. I had no idea why my body did this, and said, "I'm hungry." He motioned for me to approach him and he hugged me, my head on his hard chest. That evening I had my first date. Mr. Kent talked to me about business, how he got started and the tragic death of his wife. He said his house felt like a prison after she was gone. She had been dead for several years. He made me pasta, steak and wine. And it was divine. Much better than the stuff we served at the restaurant. Seeing his strong hands manipulate the knife, chopping the meat for some reason gave me a tickling feeling down below. After dinner, we listened to the radio, one of my favorite crime shows, but now when they talked about shots ringing out, I actually knew what it really sounded like. It was a bit terrifying. He held me close with his arm around me. I rested my head on his chest and felt like I was home. I closed my eyes and dreamed of his lips again. His hands stroked my hair, then my arms, then my waist. His touch wasn't comforting anymore. It was a bit more demanding. What was it? Possessive. He turned my face to his and then it finally happened. He brought my mouth to his and the kiss was gentle, soft and wet. I could feel my insides immediately get wet, like a torrent. He wrapped my entire body against his and the kiss then consumed me entirely. His hand slid under my skirt, finding my cotton panties again, then the hand explored under the elastic, against the skin of my buttocks. I breathed in deep through my nose. His fingers reached towards the middle and started stroking my wetness. I gasped in his mouth but he continued, stroking up and down. Now I was completely wet and I could feel my petals open up to the invader. My body's will was collapsing. Here was a man that could do anything he wanted with me. He could kill me and nobody would notice, but he was stroking me so tenderly. He broke the kiss and stood up, then he lifted me up and carried me to his bedroom. I gripped his neck tightly and closed my eyes. He could take me wherever he wanted and I loved the feeling. Then he stood me up on the edge of the bed and sat down. He said, "Now you need to do something for me." I said, "Anything you want, Mr. Kent. I will do anything." "Good," he said. "Take off your dress." I was a bit in shock, but my mind was dizzy, spinning so my hands answered for me. I reached behind to unzip my dress. He said, slowly. I obeyed. I slid the dress off my shoulders and the dress folded at my feet. I was here. This was it, the very scenario my mind predicted. My young body presented in front of him in my white cotton bra and panties. His eyes smiled with approval and my heart started flying. I crossed my legs shyly and he pulled me closer in between his legs, me still standing. He reached up and unhooked my bra and in slow motion pulled it off me, exposing my taut nipples. He took one of my breasts into his mouth and I arched my back in pleasure. His tongue flicked my nipple and shocks of pleasure rippled through my entire body. He switched to the other breast and again the flicking drove me crazy. His hands reached down to my panties and pulled them down. Then he pulled his head back and took in my exposed body. I felt so exposed but at the same time the rush of him inspecting me, as if I were his property, excited me and made me flood even further. The buzzing started down below and it felt like an itch that needed to scratched. He grabbed my hips and lifted me up in the air, then placed me on the bed. I was on my back, watching him as he undressed. His show was better than mine, his body rugged and chiseled. His member was large and throbbing. I had never seen something so big before. My eyes widened transfixed on the rod extending from his body. It looked beautiful. So beautiful. He crawled over the bed then over my body. I could feel a stiffness on my belly as he kissed me passionately. We rolled and rolled, his stiffness brushing all over my wetness. Then he positioned me on my back, set the tip of his weapon against my opening. I shrieked and I said no, please no, but didn't know what I was saying. I meant yes, but I didn't know why I said it. He didn't listen to me anyway and kept pressing up into me, invading my opening and inching up inside me. The pain shot troughed me and he advanced a bit at a time, each time waiting for me to calm my body. He kept this up until he was fulling inside of me, filling me up. I had never imagined this is what making love felt like, but I loved it. It was consuming me with love and fire. As he stretched me open, so open as he kissed my mouth and it felt divine. He started to move, his hips rolling against mine, a slow, deliberate rhythm that had me gasping for breath. I could feel every inch of him, the way he filled me completely, the way he moved inside me, hitting spots that made me cry out with pleasure. His tongue invaded my neck, the tickling sensation morphing into pleasure down there. My arms were wrapping around his neck, pulling him closer, urging him deeper. "You feel so good," he groaned, his voice deep rumbling in my chest. "You're so tight," he whispered. I could feel the pressure building now, intense, the sensation of him moving inside me, the wet sounds of our bodies coming together. It was all too much. I wrapped my legs around him, my feet digging into his back, urging him on. "Please no." I panted, my body on fire. Again, not knowing why I was saying so trite as my body was telling him the opposite. His hips moving faster now, his body slamming into mine, the headboard knocking against the wall. I could feel the pleasure building, the pressure inside me growing with each thrust. I was so close to the edge. He leaned down, his teeth capturing my nipple, biting gently, sending a shock of pleasure straight to my core. I cried out, my body convulsing as waves of pleasure washed over me. It felt like my head exploded, then like I was being electrocuted. I convulsed. His strokes started to get longer, in and out of me, felt like a long pole impaling me, then his grunts, his body tensing as he found his own release, his manhood pulsing inside me, spilling his seed deep inside of me. I could feel it, hot and wet, hitting my insides, filling me completely. The wetness was so wet and slippery. He collapsed on top of me, his body slick with sweat, his breath coming in ragged gasps. I wrapped my arms around him, holding him close, feeling his heart pound against my chest, our bodies entwined, our breaths slowly returning to normal. I felt complete love and care, the high of the pleasure washing over me. I could feel my mind falling into an abyss there was no coming back from. It was the most incredible experience of my young life. I stayed there for the next few days. He was in and out, dropping off groceries and clothes. He sometimes made love to me, but with a purpose and always hurried. It broke my heart when he had to leave again. It seemed he was so busy with some kind of arrangements. There were men walking the property constantly, gruff, sinister-looking men. I counted 4 of them. They never looked at me and only talked to Mr. Kent. Then one evening, in the dead of night, he moved me out of my tiny room I had rented in the city. Said it wasn't safe. I packed quickly, with him at the door, gun drawn, looking like a statue. My protector. He drove me to an apartment near the outskirts, above one of his smaller restaurants, a cozy Italian place. I started working there as a waitress. One of the gruff men sat all day in a corner booth, smoking cigarettes. It was a week until he finally paid a visit, unexpected after closing time. He led me down into the dim wine cellar and then we embraced and kissed deeply. The smell of damp stone and oak barrels such a contrast to the warmness of his mouth. I was wearing my uniform, a simple black dress with a white Peter Pan collar, over a white half-slip and sensible white cotton panties. He'd murmur how pretty I looked, how innocent, right before his hands turned rough, possessive. He then took off his belt. Not to hit me, never that. But he looped it around my wrists, tying them tightly around my hands. "Hold on to the rack," he ordered. His dominance, the sheer physical power he exerted, it stripped away every last bit of my reluctance. I wanted to please him. Needed to. He turned me around and bent me down, me still holding onto the wine rack with tied hands. He hiked my skirt over my back and exposed my backside. I could hear him undo his pants and his fingers started their exploration on my wetness. I was screaming inside for him, the anticipation was creating an ache in my insides. I could feel his breath on my neck as he whispered, "I'm going to take you now." I could feel his manhood, hard and ready, pressing against my panties. He pulled them down to my ankles and then I could feel his big thing, against my pedals, my wet entrance. I gasped. He entered me slowly, inch by inch, filling me completely. I shrieked in pain as he stretched me, the sensation overwhelming. He started to move, his hips slowly thrusting against mine, his hands gripping my hips tightly. I could feel every inch of him, the way he filled me, the way he moved inside me. It was intense, unlike anything, my mind spinning. He moved me like I was an impaled ragdoll, moving me so easily over his pole. Again, the silly voice. "No, Mr. Kent, please no, I whimpered, me immediately wondering who said that. He was relentless, his hips moving faster and faster. I could feel the shelf shaking, the bottles rattling on the shelves. I could feel the aching building inside me again, the sensation overwhelming, like a balloon about to pop. I screamed, Mr. Kent, so loudly, then I popped, my body convulsing as shocks of electricity shot through me. He didn't stop and kept the strokes going longer and longer, in and out of me, then suddenly he pulled out of me and pulled me back and then down onto my knees. The cold stone, scratching my legs. I looked up at him as he strokes his large member. His eyes were closed. Then he did it, something I still remember to this day. He said, open, and somehow I just opened my mouth. Then the expulsion of his fluids. Directly into my mouth. There was shot after shot going into me. There was so much of it spilled out. He kept going as the liquid spilled all over my dress. He calmed down, then he opened his eyes and looked at me with the liquid still in my mouth. Swallow, he said, take it all in. So I did. With several gulps I consumed his seed, all of it. I opened my mouth to prove my loyalty and he grinned with approval. He then moved forward back into my mouth and told me to suck it out. I obeyed and sucked out every last drop of his seed, consuming it like I was starving for it. I cleaned off his rod of any of the slick liquid and he looked into my eyes with such love and satisfaction. Mr. Kent was teaching me things that I never thought I would ever be doing. He was teaching me how to please him and how to be a good girl for him, and I loved it. That evening he gave me a bath in my room above the restaurant, gently cleaning every inch of my skin. Then we made love again, face to face in my bed, and we both slept the deepest sleep, only waking after the sun was out. He had me give him pleasure with my mouth again that morning, me demonstrating again everything I had learned the night before, cleaning him completely. Do I please you, Mr. Kent? I asked. He nodded and told me I was his good girl. The words rang in my ears. I was his girl. All his. I belonged to him, he claimed me. I felt so safe. Things started to calm down after that, the danger of kidnapping subsiding in my mind. Thoughts of love and being with him consuming me. The fear all washed away. One evening, he drove me to his big house, he said, for a party. Jackie was there too, and I was so happy to see her. She was wearing a white silk dress with a cropped waist and a low-cut top, her mounds showing. She looked beautiful. I was wearing a plain blue cotton dress with a blue choker that Mr. Kent had given me before. I buried my head into her warm bust, the softness so welcoming. I missed you too, little doll, she said. That night Mr. Kent cooked for us again. Real Italian food, rich tomato sauce, pasta that melted in my mouth. We finished 2 full bottles of wine and I was more than tipsy. I was so comfortable and happy that I said silly things, and Jackie laughed. We drank more wine on the couch listening to jazz. Jackie and I were both so flirty with each other and with Mr. Kent. We took turns sitting on his lap, being caressed with his hands. He kissed Jackie's exposed mounds and she cackled. He would jump on top of me on the couch and make silly noises against my neck and I squirmed with laughter. My head was spinning and it was so much fun. We both sat on Mr. Kent's lap and he brought our heads together slowly and Jackie kissed me. My mouth was closed at first, but my head said what the hell and opened up, her tongue exploring mine. So wet, so soft. I thought kissing a woman was so much different, it was so beautiful. I felt myself get so wet as the kisses progressed. Mr. Kent just enjoyed the sight and I got a dirty thrill knowing he was watching us. I wanted to perform for him and if it pleased him, I was determined to do it. Jackie played with me some more, making me bend over the coffee table exposing my cotton panties in full view. Jackie kissed my buttocks and licked my panties that made me yelp in embarrassment. Mr. Kent stood up and lifted me up into his arms. He started to carry me away, Jackie following me. Where are we going? We were just having a laugh, I said. He didn't say anything. He carried me down to the basement where he kept the wine and his cigars. When we got down there, he set me down on the plush leather couch and sat next to me. On the coffee table was a dress. Puffy white angel dress, satin with blue lace adornments. It reminded me of the dresses I wore in the village, innocent doll dress but elegant. Jackie sat down next to Mr. Ken, hooking his arm. "Stand up and put it on," he commanded. I was taken aback, but I was woozy and spinning, all inhibitions gone. I bounced up and started to take off my blue dress. Jackie stated sternly, "Slower, my love." I obeyed. I was tipsy, so I felt my legs wobble as I undressed. I unhooked my bra and exposed my breasts, staring into Jackie's eyes. She approved with a nod. Then my panties, sliding down slowly, every so slowly over my thighs. I was completely exposed like a naked doll in front of them. I felt exhilarated being examined in front of people. I slowly stepped into the white angle dress, almost falling over, Jackie laughing. I zipped up the back and gave my admirers a twirl, swinging my hems out, flashing my bare flesh as if I were on a stage. I continued to dance and spin, my head also spinning. I could see Jackie rub Mr. Kent's thing as it engorged under his pants. I could see the large long bulge. She started to undo his pants and brought it out with her hands. She marveled at it, just as I did when I first saw it. She said, "Oh my God," mouth hitting the floor. I stopped dancing when I saw her take it into her mouth, wetting the shaft and it entering her in and out. I had a thought, this is what I must look like when I'm using my mouth. Mr. Kent motioned me to come to the couch. I knelt down next to him, watching up close Jackie working his engorged head. It was taut and purple in color, totally wet. Jackie opened her eyes and offered the shaft to me, and I knew what to do. I started pleasuring Mr. Kent with my mouth, the mouth overflowing with wetness, mirroring the wetness soaking my insides. I continued against his deep groans. He cocked his head back over the back of the couch. Jackie and I looked into each other's eyes knowingly. He was getting so huge in my mouth that I could hardly fit it anymore. That's when he pulled my head off and stood up. He towered over me. He grabbed my wrist firmly and led me to the edge of the couch and bent me over the wide armrest. I surrendered completely, closing my eyes, preparing myself for what was to come. He pushed his hard rod into my wet opening. I gasped, or was that Jackie? I wasn't sure. He advanced inch by inch. Jackie had stood up now and I could see her pull down her own panties, her dress still on. He pushed further until he filled me completely and I shrieked. Inside and out, the strokes were long and pulsing, impaling me again. I moaned and he sped up his strokes and I was close to blowing up. Jackie bent down, took my face into her hands and kissed me deeply, tongue deep into my mouth, and I exploded with climax. Shock after shock. My body shuddered and shuddered. I exhaled so deeply. That's when Jackie moved onto the sofa, elbows on the head of the couch, bent over, offering herself for Mr. Kent to enjoy. He pulled out of me and took one step over to enter her. He did the same with her, entering her slowly, making her squeal with pleasure. He was rougher with her, massive long strokes. I stayed bent over the armrest but could see the entire rod exit and enter her again. I never realized how long it was. It was like a stiff pole stabbing her flesh. She was in ecstasy, arching her back. Then she exploded too, convulsing, over and over. I could see pain on her face, but I knew it was pleasure. She crumpled into the sofa, spent. Mr. Kent stepped back, shoving the coffee table with the back of his leg. He stood there totally erect and majestic, his stiff member glistening with our collective wetness. I didn't hesitate. I got up, dropped to my knees and consumed his member into my mouth. Mr. Kent groaned. I jacked and twisted my head, tightening my grip of his thing, twisting in and out. Now Jackie was kneeling beside me, marveling at my work. I gave her a taste and she consumed him, mimicking my head motions, faster now. Mr. Kent took a breath and held it. He let out a pained grunt, and Jackie pulled her head back, mouth wide open. Then I could see Mr. Kent climax, shots of white liquid shooting into Jackie's mouth. I had never seen what this looked like before. It was amazing, total humiliation and submission from a woman on her knees, taking a man's seed. I brought my own mouth closer, wanting some of it. Mr. Kent noticed and directed a stream into my mouth as well. I could feel the hot liquid hitting the insides of my mouth. It felt divine. To take the seat of my savior. My man, protector, the man that owns me, pleasing him like this. I felt so happy. As the stream slowed, Jackie and I took turns, swallowing and consuming every last drop of his manhood. Then Jackie licked off the other bits of the liquid off my face, kissing me deeply, us sharing the taste of Mr. Kent, tasting his love. After we had cleaned up, we cuddled there on the couch, feeling so complete. All of my old innocence and resistance was gone. I gave myself over to the experience, to him. To them. Afterwards, tangled together, a strange peace settled over me. This was me now. Sensual. Free. His. In the weeks after, he started introducing me to things. People. He called it expanding my horizons. Where am I now? I live in his house. Officially, I help manage his books, schedules for the wait staff. Unofficially, I am his woman. His kept woman. He buys me beautiful things. Lingerie, silk teddies, black lace corsets that pinch my waist. Garters, stockings. Things I never dreamed of wearing when growing up. He likes me to wear them when he has guests. Sometimes he shares me. Lets a friend touch me while he watches. Or joins in. Sometimes Jackie comes over. Or other women he knows. It's confusing sometimes. A whirlwind. But the core is always him. His dominance. His strength. His will. I crave it. Need it like air. From a scared girl running from a forced marriage to this. Am I ashamed? Sometimes, in the quiet moments, flashes of my old self whisper it's wrong. That I've fallen into sin. But then he looks at me, commands me, touches me, and all that melts away. The security, comfort, his protection, and the feeling of being so completely possessed, so utterly desired and controlled by a man like him, it's like nothing else. It's the most alive I've ever felt. I know it looks like I lost myself. But honestly, in his hands, bound by his will, I finally found who I truly am. And I wouldn't go back for the world. Don't judge me too harshly. You never know what you're capable of surrendering to, until the right strength demands it.